A warm welcome to our next virtual open day directly from Vienna. My name is Marion Bieber. I'm the head of Invest in Austria here at ABA. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I would like to give you a short overview and hopefully some surprising facts about our highly innovative and competitive business location in the heart of Europe. So let me now bring you virtually to Austria. Probably you know Austria from some photos like this one, our nice landscapes from summer holidays or skiing in winter. Of course, these photos and images are important for our country. They bring us in international rankings among the top places. Actually, Austria at the moment ranks number 2 worldwide for its quality of life. So you really work and make business here in an attractive business location. But much more important is the fact that Austria is still a strong industrial country. About 30% of our GDP comes from the production sector. Tourism accounts for about 15%. The most important sectors in Austria are metal and metal productions. For example, Föst is one of the leading players here in steel productions. Another important sector is electronics, electronic-based systems. Here I would like to give you the example of Infineon that produces semiconductors here in Austria. Vehicle manufacturing, but also chemistry and food. Over many years, Austria's governments have recognized that Austria has to be innovative to be an attractive business location. And they have invested in research and development support for companies and research institutions. Thanks to this policy, Austria today has a research quota of 3.26% of its GDP, and the R&D expenditures have grown by 71% in the last 20 years. Today, we have our focus on ICT, also one of Austria's most important sectors. And in the panel that follows afterwards, we will have a special deep dive on artificial intelligence. ICT, as you can see on this slide, accounts for about 8.6% of our GDP and employs about 290,000 employees. The sector has an extremely high R&D ratio of about 15 to 20%. Austria is also an attractive startup and scale-up location. Just let me give you some examples of startups that have succeeded here in Austria. BlackShark.ai is a startup specialized on developing 3D digital twins of the planet. Last year, they received a funding of about 17 million euros by Microsoft's venture fund M12 and Point72 Ventures. Another example of a successful startup is Kaleido. They have developed the product Remove.bg. They started here in 2015 and last year in 2021 were sold to Canva, an Australian company. Generally, we can see the Austrian startup ecosystem maturing. And just recently, we were present at the Web Summit in Lisbon, where an Austrian VC fund, Speed Invest, was nominated VC of the Year, lagging behind names like Sequoia or Excel. And 2 Austrian startups reached the top 10 in pitching there, MyReha and Biome Diagnostics. And Biome was placed second in the end. We know that international companies especially value the research and development location Austria. They account just for 3.4% of the companies present here in Austria, but they spend more than 40% of R&D expenditures and employ even more than 50% of the employees working in innovation and research. But let me now give you a short overview about Austria. We are quite a small country with about 9 million inhabitants, but we are also a very rich country. With a GDP per capita of 45,000 euros, we are among the richest countries in the world. Our economic structure is mainly comprised by SMEs. They have about 6% of the employees, but 62% of turnover and 60% of the value added in Austria. So let me now tell why Austria. 5 reasons why every year several hundred international companies and entrepreneurs decide to expand to Austria, setting up their subsidiaries here. I would now like to illustrate these 5 reasons. One of the most important reasons for foreign direct investment is gaining new market access and, of course, developing your company's customer base. With Austria, you find your ideal access to all European markets really in the heart of Europe. Within just 3 hours of flying time, you can reach 760 million customers. And at the same time, you have here in Austria, as I said already, a very rich market with a high purchasing power. And thanks to its history, Austria is the ideal east-west interface, and you can also access all the Central and Southern Eastern European countries from Austria. About 400 international companies have their regional headquarters in Austria and, of course, make their decisions for all their subsidiaries from their Austrian base. Another important factor why international companies choose Austria, and even more important in turbulent times, is our social and personal security and stability in all different aspects. Let me just give you one example here regarding labor relations. Strikes are nearly unknown here in Austria. Compared with an average of 49 days of strikes in Europe, Austria just has 2. Austria is also a very cost-competitive location. The price-quality ratio is really very attractive. I brought you here an example of office rents in major European cities. And as you can see, Vienna, with an office rent of 366 euros per square meter and year, is much, much cheaper than other European cities like Zurich, London, or Paris. And Austria is already a green energy champion. 75% of gross electricity consumption is made from renewable energies thanks to our large network of hydrogen power plants. And the Austrian government has the political target to produce 100% electricity of renewable energy sources until 2030 and to make Austria climate neutral until 2040. Another important factor when an international company plans to expand internationally is the access to talent. Here in Vienna, you can find the largest student community in the DACH area as a percentage of the total population. About 10% of Vienna's 1.9 million inhabitants are students. And at the same time, Vienna is also the second largest German-speaking city. These students are educated by top professors in world-class universities. Let me just give you 2 examples of technical universities. In Linz, we have Professor Sepp Hochreiter, one of the founding fathers of modern deep learning and artificial intelligence. And here at the Technical University of Vienna, one of the recent Nobel Prize winner, Professor Anton Zeilinger, is teaching on fundamental aspects of application of quantum entanglement. What else can I tell you about talent? Well, we have a productivity which is 10% above EU average, and you will find highly motivated and productive employees here. We have a quite unique system of apprenticeships where young persons are educated in the companies and in the schools at the same time. And this system is also modernized. For example, about some years ago, the apprenticeship of coding was introduced here in Austria. You have also very loyal employees here. The median employee tenure is more than 10 years compared to about 4 years in the US. And you will also find people that speak English. Regarding English proficiency, we are ranked number 2 in Europe. All this combined with a flexible and modern labor law. The third reason for international companies is the innovation and ecosystem that you will find here. As I already told you in the beginning, Austria is highly innovative and we are a strong innovator, ranked number 8 in the EU. I would also like to stress that in the category intellectual assets, compared with the GDP, Austria ranks number 1 worldwide. No other country registers more patents, trademarks, and designs than Austria. Austria has a very interesting system of supporting R&D with incentives. And you will hear more about incentives in the interview that my colleague Birgit will conduct after my presentation. There are direct incentives by one federal agency, FFG. Their largest program is the General Program, where you can receive a mix of cash grants and subsidized low interest rates. And this program finances up to 70% of the cost of the research project, especially for startups, and then up to 50% for companies of other sizes. And there's also an indirect incentive, a so-called cash tax grant of 14%, which is applicable on the cost of staff and material, and also for third-party research up to 1 million euros. This cash tax grant can be requested with your tax declaration. This interesting system of direct and indirect R&D funding puts us on the 3rd place in Europe. Let me now come to the last point why international companies choose Austria as their location: our support. Of course, there is a support from the tax system. We have an attractive tax system with a corporate tax rate of 25% as the only tax rate applicable on corporate profits. And this tax rate will be lowered to 23% by 2024. We also have a modern system of group taxation to facilitate the internationalization then from your Austrian company base. And as I told you, no trade tax, no net worth tax, and no inheritance tax. And of course, you will receive the cost-free support from ABA. And we will facilitate and be your key to the business location Austria. As Invest in Austria, we have 3 main tasks. We promote Austria as a business location internationally. We accompany our international companies in their whole process of establishing their presence here. And we also support international companies that are already present here in their expansion projects here in Austria. So how do we assist you really on a day-by-day basis? When you first get in contact with us, we will provide you with tailor-made information. So this can be basic information about legal and fiscal information, how to found a limited company here, but also market data and information about possible research partners here in Austria. If you decide to visit us personally, we will organize your fact-finding tours with all the necessary appointments for you. If your project then goes on, we will provide you with the cost data for the business plan, like labor cost or cost of the office or whatever is necessary for your specific project. We also help you in finding the right locations. There, we collaborate closely with the regional agencies of Austria. And we will connect you with the funding agencies and assist you in the permit process. If you're then looking for finding your first employee, we will assist you in how to do that. And we will always be at your disposal for explaining also cultural differences. So why something works differently than in your home country. So please get in contact after this open day with either with me personally or with my team. We will assure you to be your personal guide to the business location Austria. So thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the next panel about artificial intelligence here in Austria.